If you shoot at somebody operating a 4,000-pound moving vehicle, and if the driver of the approaching vehicle is disabled by the bullet, the vehicle will become a totally unguided threat.
Before most of the footage even begins, there is one angle that shows when he first pulled up.
All I had to do is do a little hop. Do it again.
Demonstrated a quick reaction to...
So it did good on the sidestep. You see a little sidestep he did? That movement is what I was going for, but look at the car. It just basically teleported. It's still gonna kill him. Physics dictates that moving perpendicular to the force stepping back guarantees 100% reduction in collision force, a miss, whereas shooting guarantees 0% reduction in the vehicle's momentum. Wow. The 0 to 5 mile per hour gap. Even if a driver floors the gas, a vehicle takes a distinct amount of time, roughly 0.5 to 1 second, to travel the first few feet from a dead stop. All right, like Colin is a gun YouTuber. Excellent content about guns. Now, when he shared his opinion, his legal opinion about what happened in Minneapolis with the ICE shooting, yeah, not so good. And we're going to debunk that in phases. We're gonna let the main points of his video play all the way through. After you see my face, it's just gonna be his video. I usually don't do that. I usually, react on screen to whoever I'm like talking against or debunking. But I'm just gonna let his perspective play all the way through. And then after that's done, we're going to get into another YouTube video that another YouTuber has done that I think that video is not getting enough recognition. It's gonna just straight debunk what Colin just said. Wait and see, wait to the end and see. And then after that phase, we're gonna get into what I asked AI about physics. Because if you understand physics, if somebody really knows physics, they can debunk whatever the false perspective is. And I asked some AI some very interesting things, and it let me know some very interesting things that I think is powerful enough to debunk what Colin has said in this video. So stay tuned.
She just wanted to leave, and I understand that. But here's the hard truth that people don't like. Intent does not always control self-defense analysis. Actions do. And her actions, regardless of what she meant internally, communicated something very specific to everyone around her. They communicated urgency. They communicated disregard for obstacles. They communicated, I'm leaving and I'm not stopping. Now, put yourself in the officer's position. It's snowing. There's ice on the ground. Traction is compromised. You're standing directly in front of a vehicle. You hear the engine rev. You hear the tire spin. The vehicle starts moving. You do not get time to psychoanalyze her mindset. You don't get to pause and say, well, maybe she's just panicking, because if you're wrong, you're dead. And this is the part that people refuse to confront honestly. Even if she didn't want to hurt him, even if she just wanted to escape, if he sidesteps and slips on ice, she's still going. Not because she's malicious, but because panic doesn't stop on command. Momentum doesn't care about intent. And this brings us to the question nobody wants to answer. What is the officer supposed to do? Is he supposed to wait until he's under the front tire before he reacts? Is he supposed to confirm her intentions by risking his life? Because that's not how self-defense works. Self-defense is not purely reactive. It's not wait until the worst thing happens and then respond. Self-defense lives in a space just before catastrophe. Preemptive and reactive force overlap. If someone is winding up to strike you with a bat, you don't have to wait for your skull to crack before you defend yourself. If someone is charging you with a knife, you don't have to wait until the knife is in your chest. And if someone is accelerating a 5,000-pound vehicle while you're standing in front of it, you don't have to wait until you're on the pavement underneath it. That's the space this incident lives in. Now, let's be honest, this is not a perfect self-defense scenario. It is imperfect as hell. It's messy, it's chaotic. It's happening in seconds, not minutes. I can understand someone saying, maybe he could have stepped to the side. And to a degree he did, but she still made contact with the vehicle. And I can also understand someone saying, maybe he could have just let her go and dealt with it later. Yeah, assuming everything was perfect. I see all of those arguments and I understand where people are coming from, but self-defense is not about perfection. It's about what a reasonable person would do when facing a potentially lethal threat under bad conditions. A vehicle becomes a deadly weapon the moment it is used this way. It doesn't matter whether the person driving means for it to be one. A 5,000-pound object moving towards a human being on ice is capable of killing them, full stop. And the officer didn't get the luxury of hindsight. He didn't get slow motion replay. He didn't get commentary. He didn't get to read her mind. All he had were actions. And her actions communicated danger. This is what people mean when they say self-defense isn't clean. It's not cinematic. It's not morally tidy. It doesn't come with certainty, but it does come with responsibility on both sides. Her panic does not make her evil, but it also does not make her actions harmless. And the officer's response does not have to be flawless to be justified. This is why I keep coming back to the same question over and over again. Strip everything else away. Not politics, not emotion, not ideology. Was the officer facing a reasonable possibility of serious bodily harm or death in that moment? If the answer is yes, and based on the facts, it is, then this is self-defense. It's not perfect. It's not something to celebrate. It's not something anyone should be happy about, but it's still self-defense. What happened here was a tragedy. A woman lost her life, and that matters. And do you really honestly think that cop is celebrating the fact that he had to shoot that woman? Come on, people, let's be people.
Is it possible that at some point Officer Jonathan Ross decided to create the opportunity for him to use deadly force in this way if he found a way to? To me, it appears that at every important point leading up to his shooting of Renee Good, he's acting proactively, not reactively. And I'm going to show you why. Point 1. Before most of the footage even begins, there is one angle that shows when he first pulled up.
I believe this is a pretty recent angle, like a new angle here.
Renee is already in her position when he does. She doesn't pull up to him or anything like that. Definitely nothing like what Kristi Noem described in her original statement. Renee was there first by a long shot. In fact, she spent several minutes there without ever approaching any ICE officers. All she did was honk, which you may not like, but is a far cry from impeding or interfering with anything. In fact, we see her wave those ICE vehicles on ahead when they finally do approach her. And while several cars comfortably drive past the front of her car in the other lane, he actually drives around the back of her car. And then he parks slightly ahead of her in the same lane, basically making it harder for her to leave by giving her a much narrower exit. Point 2.
That's something I'd never caught before because the angle was showing all of that. It's essentially what it looks like to be entrapment in a way. He's making it harder for her to essentially leave the situation.
He gets out of his car already filming and immediately chooses to walk in front of her vehicle, which he has just purposefully partially boxed in. He knows that if she's going to drive off, it's going to almost certainly be directly on this path. Point 3. When he first steps in front of the vehicle, he stops right in front of the quarter panel. Interestingly, almost the exact same type of position that he takes later on, but of course on the other side. It's not...
Which makes no sense if he's that fearing for his life. If that is his narrative, that he was such in fear of his life that he was going to die because of his past of being run over and just dragged by a car, why would it make sense for him to hold a camera and film and stop in front of a moving or a running car, which is running right here, twice?
Until she starts backing up, that he then continues to cross in front of her vehicle, filming, etc. I would be remiss if I didn't point out that she says, "That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you." In an apparent attempt to de-escalate the situation. Which, by the way, as a member of the public, is not actually her job. Technically, it's his. Anyway, he continues around the car.
Yeah, a lot of people saying she's being rude and snarky and all these things, which, you know, I don't doubt. Perhaps she was being rude and snarky. I'm not going to say she's not. A lot of protesters are, and I believe she was a protester. However, it is not her job to de-escalate. That's the job of the peace officer, the police officer, the one who actually has the badge and given authority. Whatever he is an administrator of the law, or at least that's what he's supposed to do. They have a job to be above the citizens who are not acting right, who may not care about de-escalating. It's his job to de-escalate it.
This is the moment where he, as many of you pointed out, appears to be switching the hand he's holding the phone with. He does this while standing right by his car, and we can confirm that this is in fact exactly what he does at this point by looking at a couple of other angles. This angle shows him coming around the back of the car, phone in his right dominant hand, up until he disappears out of view behind his vehicle. This angle from across the street shows the next couple of moments where he reaches up to his phone with his left hand, and this angle shows him coming back around the car with the phone in his left hand. And what's interesting about this moment is that you can't really argue that this is about him preparing to get into his vehicle because the door is already open. Never mind the fact that one would most likely open the driver's side door with their left hand, but also if he were to get in, he would have to pull it closed with his left hand. Switching the phone into his left hand at this point in time doesn't actually make much sense if that's what he's planning to do. This
is a very important point she's making because I never caught this previously. I never noticed the hand switch when it actually happened. What the hand switch is possibly telling us is that he was already planning to do something before he actually did it. This is allegedly, this is something that it could be telling us, but it's making a good point, and she's going to further elaborate here on why this could have been premeditated and not actually a reaction in that exact moment, in that exact instance. It was premeditated in a way. That's what is coming off to her. She's going to explain it right now, and I'm actually believing that as well after the evidence that she's provided.
May in fact be the moment he decides that he's going to draw his weapon. Or at the very least, he may be deciding that he wants to be prepared to do so. But there are two big problems with viewing this as simply a question of preparedness. Number one, he never puts away his phone, which doesn't suggest someone on very high alert. And number two, and far more damning, it's several seconds after this choice that he then chooses to step in front of a moving vehicle. Again, if he is suddenly worried that he is facing some sort of threat from these individuals, why does he put himself in front of the supposed biggest one there is just moments later? It appears, however, that something did in fact change here, because he had no problem not having his right hand free this entire time. What was it? I did notice one thing. In the moments right before he switches hands, Renee's wife can be heard saying
Very important. Hear what she's gonna say.
something. It's faint, so I've turned up the volume.
Citizen, former fucking actor. You want to come at us?
You want to come at us? She repeats it again right afterwards, and we can hear it a lot more clearly.
You want to come at us?
But she asks him, you want to come at us? And that's the moment where he suddenly becomes ready to do just that. Point 5. And this is key. As Renee's wife is actually yelling at him, he's not really doing anything. Once she turns away from him and it becomes clear that they're about to drive away, that's when he quickly moves back in front of the vehicle. Point 6. He chooses to stop in front of an already moving vehicle that he has just chosen to cross in front of, specifically at the quarter panel. Just out of the way enough to not get hurt or be in any real danger, but just in front enough to claim that he felt he was, exactly as he did earlier on the other side. Point 7. After he chooses to stop in this position, he draws his weapon. And even before her wheels start spinning forward, it appears his hand is already at his holster.
Look at that, y'all. Even before she's actually moving forward, his hand's already on the holster. Circling twice. Switching the hands of the phone. And her wife seems to have said something that really made this guy angry. You're gonna come at us, bro? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. This woman's making me so mad. She's getting under my skin, and I'm mad and angry. And I'm probably gonna take it out on y'all now. I'm gonna take y'all up on that. That's what I'm thinking, that this guy who's probably very sensitive and easy to anger, that's what's going on in his mind here. Yeah, I'm gonna take you up on that. I'm just gonna crash out in the worst way possible.
Point 8. Remember when I said that from this angle, it appeared he planted his feet and then leaned over the hood of the car? Well, what actually happened is even more interesting than that, because he didn't lean over the hood of the car, he actually leaned towards it. And in fact, as he drew his weapon before the vehicle actually moved towards him, he also reached forward with his left hand, which was holding the phone.
Yeah, somebody who's afraid that they're going to get run over, they're going to literally lean towards the car that they're apparently afraid they're going to get run over by. Somebody can answer that. It will take you forever, but no, you can't answer that because it literally makes no sense. If you're truly afraid you're going to get crushed by a car, you're not going to lean into it.
To lean on the car, bring forward his right shoulder, and shoot. For someone who's supposedly afraid of getting hit by a car that he purposefully just walked and stopped in front of as it was already moving, it sure seems like he's doing a lot more to put himself closer to it than he is to move himself out of the way. Point 9. He only shoots when he's beside the vehicle. And then twice more as he moves alongside the car and shoots 2 more times into...
And nobody can defend the second and third shots. I mean, the first shot, I don't believe it could be defended either based on the evidence we've already went over, but especially the second and third shots, literally beside the vehicle.
Those 2 shots alone, by the way, already make this murder and not self-defense. But to round it all out, point 10, he says this. That to me sounds like someone who's angry, not afraid, not someone who's in shock about what he just did. No, someone who's satisfied in the punishment he just got to dole out, satisfied in getting the last word. So again, this last bit in summary, here he gets challenged. Then here he frees up his shooting hand. Here he waits. Here he decides to cross in front of a moving vehicle that is now completely boxed in. Here he decides to stop, not get out of the way. Draw his gun, not get out of the way, brace himself, and reach towards the vehicle, not get out of the way. Cross, stop, draw, brace, shoot. See what I mean? Proactive, not reactive. But who would do that? Who would purposefully box in a vehicle and step in front of its only exit?
ICE, MAGA folks, people who are in the control and direction of Trump. Yeah.
Just as it begins to move. Oh, I don't know. Maybe one of the officers who worked at CBP in El Paso, Texas around...
Oh, we're not done. I thought we were done, but no, we're not done. This is a very important point.
In 2013, when 67 use of force cases were investigated as part of a pretty troubling report. The report suggests that in many vehicle shooting cases, quote, the subject driver was attempting to flee from the agents who intentionally put themselves into the exit path of the vehicle, thereby exposing themselves to additional risk and creating justification for the use of deadly force. In most of these cases, the agents have stated that they were shooting at the driver of a vehicle that was coming at them and posing an imminent threat to their life. Interestingly, the report actually makes it a point to point out that a half-ounce bullet is unlikely to stop a 4,000-pound moving vehicle. And if the driver of the approaching vehicle is disabled by a bullet, the vehicle will become a totally unguided threat.
Yes, because they were warned about this. This is this is just basic logic, y'all. Basic logic. If people have some kind of a brain and have exercised the muscle of logic, you can understand this fact. If you shoot at somebody operating a 4,000-pound moving vehicle, and if the driver of the approaching vehicle is disabled by the bullet, the vehicle will become a totally unguided threat. It's going to be likely a worse situation than before. It's going to be a worse situation than before. If you think the best thing to disarm the threat is to literally kill the operator of the vehicle, now you're going to have an unguided threat of 4,000-pound moving large object that can endanger yourself and other people. Obviously, shooting at a moving vehicle can pose a risk to bystanders, which that SUV crashed into a white car. If you remember the footage, the video from the phone, the SUV, after the officer shot and killed the operator, crashed into a white car, rear-ended it, I believe. I believe that was a rear end. I don't know, maybe 20 miles an hour at that point, and maybe even more. And it was a pretty loud crash. You could hear it on the phone camera. And what if a baby was in the back seat of that car, or anybody, and they weren't buckled up or anything? That could cause serious injury or potential death to an innocent bystander who the vehicle is now going full force and hitting something else that he caused. It's like a chain reaction. He shot the operator of the moving vehicle. Now there's nobody controlling it. Now whatever it hits, if it's a person, a baby, an elderly person, it can cause way more damage and destruction.
Cases suggest that some of the shots at suspect vehicles are taken out of frustration when agents who are on foot have no other way of detaining suspects who are fleeing in a vehicle. Kind of like U.S. citizens who ICE isn't allowed to detain. There is little doubt that the safest course for an agent faced with an oncoming vehicle is to get out of the way of the vehicle. Imagine that. The department that Jonathan Ross spent nearly 8 years in, including the 2 years that this study was looking at, is known for its agents creating justification for the use of deadly force by putting themselves in the exit path of a vehicle, despite the fact that, again, legally, this has not been found to be an acceptable excuse. But who cares if no one's looking too closely? So, yeah, maybe that guy would have the very instincts to do something like that. So, incompetence or intent.
Very, very, very well done. I'm going to have to shout her out. I'm going to put her video link in the description. But you know what? I'll just put it right here on the screen too. So if you want to subscribe to her, I don't know what else she does. I just know I like this video. I now believe, based on the evidence that I have seen, believe that there was actual intent to kill. Not just in the moment, but it was premeditated. I don't know how long, but it was premeditated. It was being planned before the actual moment where he was in the moment of putting his hand on the holster and shooting Renee Good. It wasn't just a reaction. It was like he intended to do that at a specific point, planning it out. So now for the AI stuff. Based on the ICE shooting in Minneapolis, based on the best course of action, immediate action, to evade the vehicle if you believe the car would hit him. If he was very close to the car and it was still when he heard the engine rev, which I think is what they're saying, what he believed was happening here. He heard the engine rev, which scared him, which apparently he wanted to make him shoot her to defend himself from getting run over because the engine was revving. Oh, I gotta shoot you. So I'm just going, I'm just giving it kind of information that we're being told here. He was only a couple feet away from the car. I don't know the exact distance. I'm assuming like maybe 2 or 3 feet, something like that. Based on the reaction times of humans, what is the best course of action based on the average turn radius of cars and the car moving very slow, which it was, being only a couple feet away, and he was not directly in front of the car. He was standing towards the side. You could say even if he was in the front, he was at the very edge, the side of the front. And the operator was turning away from the officer, which that's proven fact. She was turning her wheel away from the officer. Proven fact on video recorded on the actual officer's phone video. So the operator was turning away from the officer, meaning she was trying to avoid hitting him. He was leaning towards the car, arms stretched to shoot her. I believe if he truly feared for his life and was directly in front of the car, he still would have died because shooting the driver does not stop the car, which we already went over. Also, based on him standing, that's what I'm going to say, standing towards the edge of the car with the driver turning away from him, it wouldn't take much effort on the officer's part to sidestep out of the way to move at an even safer distance away, rather than taking the time to aim. Well, actually, you got to unholster it too, and then aim and shoot the driver. Based on human reaction times, the distance and position from the car to the officer, the direction of the turn away from the officer, and the turn radius of vehicles, what would be the best course of efficient and quick action based on physics and reaction times for the best course to avoid death for the officer? I feel this is a very fair question. I feel this is very fair because this is essentially the situation summed up based on what we know. And this is asking AI, which some would say we've reached singularity. Basically, AI is now smarter than humans. You know what? I'm going to show you in the future how we're not there yet, at least with what they give us, because I asked it to recreate a video of the situation. It absolutely just made a trash video. But one could make the argument that maybe the government has the AI that's smart enough that has surpassed human beings. Nevertheless, we can all agree that AI is pretty dang smart and it could compete with humans on many different things. It's literally replacing our jobs. So somebody's going to say, oh, you can't look at AI for anything good when it comes to this question because AI is so dumb. It's actually not dumb. Not anymore, at least. And that would be a logical fallacy to say anything I'm using AI for, I can't use as something that we can go by. Because if it gives a good logical explanation to this, you can't deny the logic involved here. So it says, based on the laws of physics, human reaction times, and it's just summing up what I already told it. Reaction time, physics, auditory versus visual. The engine rev is a critical variable here. It serves as an auditory telegraph, a warning signal that precedes the vehicle's physical movement. Auditory reaction time. The human brain processes sound faster than visual changes. The average reaction time to an audio stimulus engine rev is roughly 0.14 through 0.17 seconds. Visual reaction time. The average visual reaction time stimulus seeing the car move is roughly 0.25 seconds. So audio is faster than visual. The head start. Because sound travels effectively instantly at the distance a couple feet, the officer's brain received the warning signal before the car could overcome its own inertia and move significantly. So he heard the sound before the car could even move significantly. The split-second advantage is sufficient time. The split-second advantage is sufficient time to initiate a startle response or evasive movement like a jump or sidestep before the vehicle covers the gap. Again, the split-second advantage is sufficient time to initiate a startle response or evasive movement like a jump or sidestep before the vehicle covers the gap. This is huge. Anybody who knows physics in depth, this is just elementary stuff right here. Somebody who knows physics in depth, I believe they can absolutely just destroy the arguments that the officers making and MAGA are making. But this is good enough. This is the best I have. I'm not a physicist, so I'm actually going to something smarter than me when it comes to physics, and AI knows more than me. So the vehicle kinematics, inertia, and acceleration. A vehicle is a massive object, approximately 3,000 to 5,000 pounds, that must overcome static friction and inertia to move. It cannot accelerate instantly unless you have one of those like super fast accelerating Teslas that are electric, that are just sports cars, which that wasn't. It was a Honda gas car, I believe it was gas. Nevertheless, the basic concept is this is a large vehicle, very weighty, 3,000 to 5,000 pounds. it needs inertia to move, and it cannot accelerate instantly. Even electric cars don't accelerate instantly. The 0 to 5 mile per hour gap. Even if a driver floors the gas, a vehicle takes a distinct amount of time, roughly 0.5 to 1 second, to travel the first few feet from a dead stop. And this is the average car. Of course, sports cars are going to be faster. Tesla, electric, plaids, whatever it's called, it's going to be faster. But was she driving a sports car? No. Human mobility. This is a very important point to note. A human standing still can explosively push off and cover 3 to 4 feet, roughly 1 meter, in less than half a second. The physics verdict. A human can physically displace their body out of a small kill zone faster than a vehicle can accelerate from a standstill to cover that same distance. And you may think, how does that make sense? Cars are so fast. They're so much faster than human beings. It's about agility. Agility. You weigh nothing compared to a car. And the force you can use is compared to your weight, makes you very agile. Compared to your weight and your size, the force you can use makes you extremely agile. Way more agile than a 3,000-pound car, 4,000-pound car SUV. I mean, look how small your body is compared to a car. You don't have a limited turn radius. You can just basically jump and flip and turn at 360 really quickly. You can just lunge 3 feet that way in like half a second. I mean, maybe I could show you on the camera really quick, and I'm getting older, y'all, so I gotta watch what I do. Mess my knees up. But so let's say the cars come in between these two columns, right? The cars come in between these two columns, and it's revving up, and I need to get past this column right here. I need to get past that to get free of the danger zone. But watch how quick this takes. It's revving up. 1, 2, 3. I'm good. All I had to do is do a little hop. Do it again. And there you go. I evaded the car. So that is literally the quickest method to evade harm's way if you're really frightened for your life and a car is coming dead on at you. Literally sidestep. Don't try to outrun it. That's what dumb people do in movies. Something's chasing them. They just try to outrun it. No, hop to the side. And that's all he had to do. So in summary here, we got based on the variables provided, the auditory warning rev, the vehicle's inertia, slow start, and the steering geometry turning away, the most efficient course of action to avoid death was immediate lateral evasion. Literally what I did. And you can do it different ways. You can sidestep different ways, but I just showed you one way, basically lunging to the side. Physics dictates that moving perpendicular to the force stepping back guarantees 100% reduction in collision force, a miss, whereas shooting guarantees 0% reduction in the vehicle's momentum. Wow. How challenging is that to understand? How challenging. But yet, cards can't understand the simple logic. I'm sorry, y'all, but I'm fed up. I'm fed up with it. But let me show you the videos that I asked it to try to create a visualization of the same scenario. It failed in doing it. It just didn't do good, y'all. So AI is not to par with creating the types of videos that I want to create. But you're gonna see you're gonna see the idea I was going for, and you're probably gonna laugh because it didn't put out on what I was going for, but it tried. It really did try. Let's play some of these videos just so you can see the idea I was going for, but it would not do it correctly.
When the engine revved, the officer demonstrated a quick reaction time, rapidly increasing the distance to a safe margin. When the engine revved, the officer demonstrated a quick reaction time.
So it did good on the sidestep. You see the little sidestep he did? That movement is what I was going for, but look at the car. It just basically teleported. It's still going to kill him what the car is doing because it switched directions. It teleported. Look at that.
Demonstrated a quick reaction time.
It's going to kill him.
Rapidly increasing the distance to a safe margin.
It can't even get the numbers right. So it's still not really good at creating videos, unfortunately. Hopefully that gets better. And then I try to create an image just to give it more of an idea of what happened and what it looked like. So I try to do it again. And I got Gemini Pro, it limited me to 3 videos and it messed up every single video. So check this one out. It literally shot the guy. I didn't want him to shoot him. What? Y'all, man, that is not what I wanted to do. But he even walked towards the car. Oh man, this is messed up. But you see what I was going for. I hope you see what I was going for. I was trying to do it, y'all. Trying to do it. I tried it one more time, my last video generation, and it still didn't do it good. What? But it kind of makes my point a little bit, because this is basically how silly the whole situation was. This is how silly it was. It's kind of proving my point, and the point of like us who understand basic logic. Like, he wasn't in danger. He probably could have done this to the car. He basically slapped the car and, you know, turn around. You know, this is basically what he could have done, because he wasn't in that much immediate danger, I believe, at all. Oh man. So this is really, these video generations are hilarious. AI is so funny. It can be. You know, when it messes up like that, it's just AI slop. But let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, like the video. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. May the Lord keep you. May he bless you. May he shine his face upon you always and give you peace. Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you shall be saved. And you know what? I hope more people just understand logic. We live in an idiocracy. I made that post somewhere on my YouTube comment section or like community tab. We live in an idiocracy. There was a movie about this, I believe. It was a movie, I think, called Idiocracy. I think that's what it's called. I didn't watch it, but I heard about it. And it's basically like making fun. In the past, it was like way ahead of its time of a future reality where everything in America was just stupid and people were falling for it. And that's what we're living in right now. Predicted. It was very prophetic. What a shame. But hopefully, with the help of people who actually have logic, we can help to lift other people up who are missing out on that. Anyways, take care.